I think it's pretty safe to say that by far the biggest driving force of the hype of this movie has all to do with Emperor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious, and the fact that he's being portrayed by Ian McDiarmid once more in this story by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really intriguing about Episode 9 is, of course, Palpatine's return. A lot of fans around the world are very mystified and concerned about how he's going to return and exactly how it's going to have a dramatic effect on Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the character of Palpatine, Darth Vader's sacrifice, also known as Anakin's sacrifice, throwing Palpatine down the reactor of the second Death Star. He never really died, apparently, so does that really kind of destroy that moment in Return of the Jedi? There's a lot of concerns about, JJ's decision of bringing back Palpatine in the flesh in this movie. And of course, how that's going to be explained in the film all depends on how JJ writes it and how clear it's going to be to, of course, fans around the world. Now, on top of all of this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intense for Palpatine's survival and the rise of Skywalker. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description of a sequence where it's explained that one of the pieces of concept art is said to entail a wide and distant view of Darth Vader throwing Palpatine over the edge and into the reactor of the second Death Star, where toward the bottom it's explained that Palpatine can be seen entering a pathway that is said to be of a bright blue color with a wavy design, where Palpatine is said to be traveling through a wormhole of some kind, where the concept art is described to involve a general understanding, almost like a map of Palpatine's survival, where the wormhole is said to bring Palpatine to the world of Exegol, and to this backup throne room of his and base that's on the world, that was used as a failsafe if the Empire ever failed and was destroyed. It's described that one of the other concept art descriptions explains Palpatine on the ground of the world of Exegol, with tons of lightning seen constantly striking in the background, where Palpatine's actually said to actually have a backup base where dozens of Star Destroyers can be seen landed in the background. It's implied that Palpatine used a force ability and or the explosion of the reactor caused a reaction that opened up a wormhole that allowed Palpatine to make his way to the world of Exegol, where he would reside there for 30 plus years. It's explained that another description explains Palpatine falling through the blue wavy portal around 10 feet above the surface of Exegol, where it's explained that this is one of Disney's visions of how Palpatine survived, and that they are currently testing one other that will make the cut or not by J.J. Abrams. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, the thing about Episode 9 that is, of course, a big deal is Palpatine's survival. Exactly how in the world is he alive? Didn't he die at the very end of Episode 6? Those are the big questions and concerns about this movie, because if he never really died, and that seems to be the case by Disney and Lucasfilm now through all the various reshoots that took place from August until now in October, changing all the Palpatine scenes in the third and second act, where of course it's going to explain in great detail exactly how he was able to survive, a general understanding, right? Whereas in the novelization we will be learning more about this in greater depth, where we will learn the actual specifics of how Palpatine was able to do such a thing. Now, the actual wormhole itself is described to be of a blue color that's actually shaped in a wavy design. And if you guys go ahead and check out the very ending of Return of the Jedi, where Palpatine is thrown down there by Anakin, you can see that it does, in fact, have a spiral effect at one point in time, almost giving it a wormhole design. Now, I'm not quite sure about how I feel about wormholes in a live-action Star Wars movie. Yes, given that in Star Wars Rebels, this was actually made possible in the worlds between worlds, which were essentially doorways to events of the past and or the future, perhaps. And that you can see that one of the sequences in the worlds between worlds, we have Palpatine using that portal technique, where he's able to actually try and get Ezra Bridger as they're trying to escape the worlds between worlds. Now, in this particular moment, that actual sequence actually shows a very similar type of energy that Palpatine is using in that scene by Dave Filoni in Star Wars Rebels, where if you go ahead and look at The Rise of Skywalker, alright, or should I say Return of the Jedi of what's going to be done in The Rise of Skywalker, is that you can see that blue wavy energy that's actually being thrown up from the reactor and into the air right near Darth Vader once he threw him down there. So that's the big deal here, is that, of course, that's Disney's aim right now, is by having Palpatine survive through the use of a wormhole, either involuntarily activated by Palpatine or voluntarily activated by Palpatine. I would go ahead and say that it's most likely going to be that Palpatine voluntarily did this as a force power that he actually knows about, bringing him back to the world of Exegol, where he would stay there for 30 years, making people believe that he's actually dead, essentially faking his death, where he could rebuild the Empire into a new Sith Empire that would eventually take over the galaxy, where the First Order would be used as a distraction, kind of like how the Clone Wars were a distraction, right? So you can really see the parallels here of what's really going on in the sequel trilogy. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to